Good morning all, hope you're doing well. We've got the risk sentiment overview for the 29th of November 2022. We have to remember we've got end of month and we also had a lot of Fed speakers out. Today we've got the German inflation and we've got GDP from Canada. And we have to remember that we are risk on in the big picture and at the 24-hour change. These bubbles are now out of date, so do be aware if you're watching this video, these are now old. These are actually changed a lot. So you'll need to subscribe to the Quasidb to see where the bubbles are currently, but they're out of bonk now. That's not, the dollar isn't over there at all. It's actually over here. So you've got to be careful, and they are in constant flux as well. So you just have to know your exits and things, and you should be okay. We are very crowded on the trade. They've got a lot of bears in this market, and this is for the indices. This doesn't take into account FX. It's just indices only. So UK 100, the German 30, the US 30 and US 500, and they're very short all those markets. Okay, so that's why this is green and it's risk on. Okay, and I think it's a bit early, a bit premature for VIX to drop below 20. We get a lot of data out this week, and we're going to probably want to wait for that data, and then inevitably we'll break below 20, and then we'll be all-time high, and it'll be an absolute horrific consequence for those bears. But at least we know the direction, right? US yields pumped at the short dated and pumped at the long dated, but the midterm, the middle yields, they fell. It's a little bit mixed there. Yield curve is unhealthy, so that's risk off. Be careful if the retail guys get flushed out and then they decide to buy. That's going to really be quite bad for risk, because this is actually quite heavily risk off. So once the retail guys decide to buy, as a mass, we're probably going to be quite risk off, because this needs to correct basically. So we're going to see a sudden violent move in indices once the retail guys get flushed out and then they reverse. Then we're going to be quite risk off. But until that happens, we can continue higher. But do be aware of that. So that's like a bit of an omen there, unless by some miracle it gets corrected and these come down. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, keep an eye on the US 10-year, because it has a strong correlation with UJ, and because UJ correlates well with cross yen, it's a very important thing, an instrument to monitor. So currently we've got some supply. We've got some heavy supply up here, which kind of relates to and coincides with the Ukraine, the Kherson, the city in Ukraine, and we had the Russian withdrawal there. So we had like a little bit of a bottom in the bonds and the top in the yields there. So I'll be surprised if we see risk go up there again. We are contained below this supply, which it might happen. We might want to see like a test of that supply, and then we can dump. But so far we're quite bearish below this, and because we've got some resistance here, it does put quite a bit of pressure on UJ, and UJ will struggle if we're going to fall on the 10-year because of the strong correlation. And if UJ falls, it can bring cross yen down with it as well. That's important. This is how we were when I took the screenshot like an hour ago now. The bulletin takes a while to do. And so they'd gone long on EG and they'd shorted the UK 100, but they'd gone long on US 30, but they nearly cancelled each other out. And that explains the slight movement there on the 24-hour difference. There wasn't a great movement on the 24-hour because the US 30 and the UK 100 nearly cancelled each other out. And that's that logic there. So 148, 104. So there's a slight, nearly cancel each other out, like I say. And check the 3-month performance. So an eye on AU and an eye on UC. Now dollar CAD weakens and the Australian dollar USD strengthens, then that's going to be quite a solid case for like the bottom, and the fact that we had probably bottomed on these currency pairs, but we want to ideally see AU strengthen and dollar CAD to weaken slightly. They're a little bit out of bonk. So, keep an eye on AU and UC today. And we've got the GDP data from Canada later as well. So keep that in mind. Dollar yen is the weakest. Pound USD is the strongest. Now, what we're doing today, going forward, we're going to have a trade of the day based on the bubbles. And then we're going to have one based on the largest mover on the currency pair. So this is your basket versus basket. So this is the Aussie basket, the bubble, but we take into account the Australian dollar sentiment across all currency pairs. and then we examine the euro versus all the currency pairs. So how are they positioned on the euro? How are they positioned on Australian dollar? And that's that. So hopefully that's clear. So this is your bubble versus bubble. That's one trade a day. And then we've got the greatest mover on the currency pair itself. And the euro USD is the largest mover. They've gone long the USD and they're shorted the euro. So we obviously would buy the euro and would sell the USD. We try and do the opposite of those guys because they have been quite wrong, which I'll show you. I'll show you on the gold analysis below here. So normally you don't get to see the trade of the day, but I just want to explain to you that we've got an alternative. Just in case this one goes awry, it might do, then we've got a backup, essentially. So remember to see what I said about the clock data and keep an eye on your sentiment as well. So it could be a good one. 103.60, how are we now? 103.69, so we're up like nearly 10 pips. You know, it's probably going to potentially just wobble and whipsaw a little bit, but at least we've got an alternative, which, you know, is good. So Patreon there, so if you wanted to get the trade of the day, you can join us at £8 a month. Pretty reasonable, very affordable, and you get trade of the day and you get some ideas and, you know, lots of information to trade with. Telegram and Discord. So 3912 is the level of note. So I wouldn't be bearish if we're above, and I wouldn't be bullish if we're below. Try and keep on above that line. It's very important. And you can see how the retail guys have sold it a little bit here. And looks like we might be making a buy on the US 500, but we did get some late longs, and they entered 40.30, and I said that was going to be a resistance. We did get above 4,000, but we're going to struggle to get above 40.30 because that's where they went long. So those guys had to get flushed, and that's that move. Okay, it was 30 they went long, so they got punished. So might be making a buy, so be careful. DAX, we had a technical justification for a sell-off. They happened to go long at the break, so you know you could have traded those few hours and you would have done quite well. And it can be quite nicely profitable. But you have to be careful because it's very much very fluid and very liquid market. So you do need to know your size on this. It can really hurt if you're caught off guard. And this is what I was saying about the sentiment and how the retail guys are wrong. This is a classic case of them being wrong. They bought up here and you know, they got punished for 9 hours. There's 9 candles there. And then they sold it. And we had 7, 8 candles here that just went to punish them. So they got punished, and they got punished, and I guess they'll continue to get punished forever. So unless you've got an eye on the sentiment, then at least you know you're going to be on the right side, and you can get some good setups using those crossovers as well. So we had the sell signal there, and then we had the buy signal. So the largest mover is EA, and the largest stock loss cluster is AU. So, you know, that's potentially a target, 67.41. And failure rate's high, which is good. We want to see that high because that just proves that the retail guys are getting destroyed, and that puts us on a good footing because we do upset the retail guys. So if they're getting destroyed, we're going to be doing well. Right? Signals, that's fine. We didn't have a trade of the day, but we have 2 today, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. One based on bubble deviation, another based on the greatest mover at the currency pair level. I explained just now. And tomorrow there won't be trade of the day for YouTube, but today there it is. So I just demonstrate what we're doing. Quasidb setup. So check the bubbles, check the currency pair. Are we above or below 50% at static level? At a dynamic level across time, are we buy or we sell? Technical summary. So there's a mismatch there for dollar CAD. For example, the technical summary is strong buy, but the retail guys have bought. So that's why we don't have a signal for dollar CAD. Okay, so we want the 2 things to align. We want them to be buying when we're a strong buy. No, we want them to be selling when it's a strong buy. So we want them to be at their, you know, off guard, offside. So, wow, gold they really shorted. They've really sold gold. But there's no technical summary for gold. Okay, so they sold Euro USD, and it's technically it says buy. So that would be a good demonstration. That's why we've got a tick in that box. So hopefully that's clear. Economic calendar. We had lots of data, and we've got some CPI and we got the inflation rate, which is the 1-2 note, and I think we're going to see a big wobble on the euro. Be careful. We might breach below 10%, which would be quite good. And then we've got CAD GDP data. Apologise for the late bulletin. We had lots of data to break down and then a lot of analysis to go through as well. And we'll have to see how we go. So be careful. We could be getting too close to extremes. But, you don't really want to be with those guys as well. So you're looking for dips to be buying on risk because of that. We're very skewed. We can get a little bit more extreme, but you'd want to be careful around -18, -20. So last time we topped out was -12, and now we're -15. So they are very, very bearish. And if they continue to be bearish, we're going to continue higher. And that's that. So have a great day. I'm going to do a video now on Discord, and I'll do a Patreon video, and then that's it. So have a great one. I'll speak to you soon.